Welcome to the Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church Network, where we are building faith and transforming lives, where our senior pastor is the Reverend James I. Perkins.
Well, good day, and welcome to Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church Straight Talk. As you see, we just common, everyday people saying some good things. So we thank you for tuning in with us, and I'm honored this morning to have a special guest with us this morning, and Mr. Curtis Sudworth. Is that right, Curtis? Perkins. Yeah, why did I forget Perkins? Now, what made me so excited about this when Brother Perkins came in, he had a Philadelphia hat on, and that's right down my line. I knew right then we were gonna get along.
Yes,
man. Kurt, it's good to have you with us this morning, and I appreciate you adjusting your schedule to be with us this morning. And I've seen a lot of interviews and a lot of cooks, and that's what you specialize in. And a lot of people say, well, when I was growing up, I helped my mom, or I helped my grandmother, or I helped my auntie in the kitchen, and I just carried that tradition on as I grew in. Kurt, is that the way you got started? Or how did you get started just in the cooking business?
Pretty much, when I was a kid, I lived with my grandmother and my father, and I'll be honest with you, my grandma liked to play bingo, and when I was a kid, I was a tag-along, so I used to go to the bingo, and in the early 90s, smoking was allowed in buildings, and I had bad allergies, and I hated it. I hated going to bingo with my grandma, but it was fun times. But when I got about 8, 9 years old, I told grandma, I said, let me stay at home. She was like, are you sure you want to stay at home? She said, don't you cook nothing. Don't you burn down my house. And so honestly, I would stay there, and then on the weekends, my grandmother and my dad would let me, cook and stuff like that. And it was a hobby, and it was something that I looked forward to doing. Back then, in the early 90s, we didn't have cell phones and
Right.
all these video games and stuff to where we could, be occupied. And so you had to find things outside the house, inside the house to do. And my thing was cooking. And I got really good at it at a young age. And I, pretty much after church Sundays, I would cook all the meals. And when I was young, my dad had this smoking Joe grill. It was a little round grill. And man, he'd pop on some Kenny G, and we'd sit outside in the driveway. And man, it was a fun time, man. It was a big part of my memory, and I just loved to do it. And one day, as I got older, I got pretty good at it. I never got into fast food. I never really worked in fast food. I never had an initiative starting cooking as far as people.
Right.
But when I got old enough and I started working, my second job was MDI, and which was a food distributor.
Yeah.
And when you work down there, man, you got all access to a lot of food, man. I'm telling you, man. And we had this company grocery store, and man, it's amazing. And I don't know if they still have it. I've been gone there for about 7 years now.
Yeah.
But man, and in today's economy, man, it was great to have. Man, you could walk in this place, and at the end of the day, you could spend $20 and have 2 meals, buy enough groceries for 2 or 3 meals. And I had at the time, I had a pretty decent sized family, man. You could buy a can of peas for 10 cents, a pack of chicken breasts for $2, a 10 pack.
Oh my
And so,
gosh.
always been cooking and stuff, you develop that, and probably 2010, a lot of people know, but I started out DJing. I started DJing in high school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Norman Smith?
Yeah.
Norman Smith, Smitty, rest in peace, Smitty, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my, man, I'm telling you, man, that's one of the top dogs, man. I always looked up to. He was an older cat, man. When I was a kid, around 10, 11 years old, I used to cut his grass.
Yeah.
Well, Smitty was a well-known truck driver, and he would have me do events and stuff on when he was gone. He used to do little shows at the American Legion.
Yeah.
And he would have me running his mixing board. And man, it was, I was 10, 11 years old, running the mixing board for, groups and singers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And I started DJing. And then after that, I developed entertainment, and I started doing weddings, DJing weddings and stuff like that in 2009, 2010, and I made it a business.
Yeah.
Found myself every weekend doing parties, weddings. Well, in 11 and 12, I was like, you know what? Got on social media. You know, social media was really big back then. I was on it maybe in 2009, 2010, but I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But just from social media, man, you know, word of mouth, people say, hey, man, you need a DJ, contact Curtis, man. He's awesome, you know. And then in 2012, I was like, hey, one of my friends, his name is Wallace Chamber, he's from Morganton, one of his mothers, you know, knew that we liked to always cook at their gatherings. And she said, Curtis, I work for the attorney's office, and their 50th anniversary is coming up, and they're looking for somebody to cater. And I told him, I said, you know, hey, this guy Curtis, man, he's your real deal. And I was like, I don't know about that, you know.
That's a little big for you, there,
you know,
Curtis. Kurt.
And man, believe it or not, she's like, well, this is what they got. This is the budget they got. If you can do it. I said, heck yeah. You know, $1,200, man, I'll do it. So, you know, me working MDI, I called my boss and said, man, how much for a case of barbecue?
Yeah.
At the time, like $60. I was like, shoot, yeah, man, you know, and then a case of beans and the stuff that they wanted.
Yeah.
And I seen how profitable it was.
Yeah.
You know, and man, you know, I done my first catering, posted on social media, built a little platform, got a bunch of likes, you know, and next thing you know, man, I was doing more catering than DJing.
Well, Kurt, that's a great start, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you started out DJing,
Mm-hmm.
and DJ led to parties,
Mm-hmm.
and parties learn to, hey, look, you gotta eat.
Yep.
You gotta have something. Yeah, that's what makes the party go. And that was just falling right in your line. But Kurt, did you have a place to where you was your foundation, or where you put all your stuff, or where you were at? Did you have a building or something there that?
When I first got started in 2010, I did not. I worked out of my home. I purchased my first house in 2013, and I kind of done all my prep and stuff out of there and everything, starting out. And be honest with you, it got bigger than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I started running into stuff like, you know, code holding and stuff like that. And I had to turn away some of the jobs that was offered for me. And so then at that time, I was like, you know, hey, I want to make this a legit business. You know, I need a foundation, like you said.
Right.
So a couple years later, I built my platform. I done the odds and ends and done the homework of running the business. And in 2015, I decided to, I said, you know what? I want to open a restaurant, but I didn't have the finances to do it.
Right.
You know, a restaurant is initially a lot to start up, and I didn't have it. So what I said, well, you know, I found this building, which in Gamewell I still own the place, but it's called Perk's Event Space. And a friend of mine, an older guy named Mr. Jim Livingston, I used to let me set up and sell barbecue on the weekends at his location that I'm currently at.
Uh-huh.
And he said one day, I got a building available, man. You need to open a restaurant. I said, I ain't got the money for that. He said, well, dadgummit, you got all the clientele, because all the cars is riding by and stopping, you know. And I was like, yeah, but that still takes a lot of money. What I did was, Reverend Ike, I stepped out on faith.
Yeah.
I quit my job at
Oh.
MDI, a great job, you know, to work pretty much weekends. I made really good money on weekends, but, you know, all the tiredness and the stress of working for a company, it was a lot. And I quit my job. I actually worked a wedding and made enough money to put $1,200 deposit down on this building, and posted Perk's Event Space. We're going to do parties. And man, out of nowhere, it was doing good. We was doing parties. We actually partnership with Everett Logan. I kind of reached out to him. Was like, you know, hey man, you know, I got this building. You know, I could do food, entertainment. You could come in and do these inflatables or whatever. And man, you know, honesty, man, it was great at first. It was really, really good, and it was really, really, everything was going good at first.
Yeah.
Well, then my catering was just like, you know, this and that, and it was just, you know, it just blew up. And so I was riding one day, and I seen another building, restaurant.
So this first building, Kurt, was that in Gamewell?
Yeah,
that
in
you
Gamewell.
started. So you just started out with just a small restaurant there?
No, it wasn't a restaurant. It was kind of like a commissary.
Okay.
And what I done at this building, we still have it. We rent out parties. We do 50th anniversary. We do catering there.
Yeah.
If you want to do a sweet 16, you know, if somebody passes in the community, something like that.
Well, where is this building located?
It's 2768 Morganton Boulevard. It's right. It's a minute from the fire department. It's in between.
Okay.
It's in between the town of Gamewell, City Hall.
So you still operate out of
Yes,
that
sir.
business? You
Yes,
still
sir.
do things in
Yeah.
that business?
Right now, every weekend, we doing 2 or 3 parties there. You know, we do, like I said, a lot of sweet 16, birthday parties. We do pretty much anything, gatherings, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So pretty big building. We got a kitchen. And actually, what I was going to tell you is after that, I was riding and I seen another building. And at the time, it was kind of iffy because, you know, hey man, I walked away from my job a year ago, but things is, you know, I was making a living,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was paying bills. I was living. It wasn't nothing crazy, at the time, but you know, I was maintaining. Well, I was riding one day, and a friend of mine landed me a catering job for a company, a little small company named Maloof over there by UPS. It paid me like $2,000 a week to feed like 30, 35, 50 people. I think 50 people a day.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a restaurant or anything at the time, and I done it, and the people loved the food, and it was very profitable. And you know, at that point, I knew it was time to get me a foundation.
Right, yeah.
Well, at the time I was riding and I seen a building and it said restaurant for lease. And I've seen this building a couple times and everybody said, oh man, that place has been 10 different restaurants and they never make it. Well, I stopped in and I called the guy and he was really nice to me. Matter of fact, he just passed away last month. His name is Mr. Henry Thomason. And I talked to him, a very respectable elder person, and he so I'd love to have you in here and this and that. You know, of course, that's what renters will do. You know, they want somebody in. They don't want, you know, empty spaces.
Yeah.
And I went in the building, looked at it.
Was it set up for a restaurant?
It was partially set up for a restaurant. I needed a couple of things, but it was partially set up.
Yeah.
And what I did, Reverend Ike, was I took the money that I'd been making for that catering. I've probably done it for probably about 4 or 5 months. And probably had about 15, 16 grand saved up. And I took that money and I invested it in the restaurant. I got the restaurant. We done a 2-year lease on it.
Yeah.
It was a little iffy, because, you know, I had a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You know, and then here I got to spend all of the money to get it. But my daddy always told me, man, you know, you got to spend money to make money. And
Kurt, did you have a family then? Did you were you trying to keep up a family and trying to operate this restaurant and trying to do a bunch of stuff?
Man,
you know, like a juggling act.
It was. It still is to this day. I mean, it still is. And I moved forward to the restaurant, man. I'm telling you, man, the hype of owning our own restaurant, man. I mean, it's amazing. Like the support you get at first, and the hype of the people in the community. I mean, it's unreal, man. But I spent all of the money that I had. I found a restaurant in Blowing Rock that was closing down, and we had I bought all of their equipment, and we come in and we moved it in there. I had a couple of friends to help me set it up.
Yeah.
And we opened it up in July 1st of 2016. When I tell you, I try to do these, what you call silent openings. Hey, friends, family, you know, church members and stuff. Hey, you guys come in and don't tell everybody, you know, because I ain't never worked in a restaurant. I don't really know what I'm doing, but hey, you guys come in. Man, there were so many people. I mean, man, when I tell you, man.
Did it freak you out? Did you get a little nervous?
Man, nervous ain't.
Have I got enough food? Or?
Nervous ain't the word. I remember me and my mom in the kitchen. She said, "Yeah, I worked at Holiday Inn back in."
I remember. I remember when we worked at the Holiday. I didn't know Niecy worked at the Holiday
She told me,
Inn.
she said she worked at Holiday Inn and back in 80 something. I was like, okay, so you worked the grill? She was like, yeah. So it was me, my mom, and I hired 2 employees. When we done the first opening, there was so many people. Y'all, I can't make this up. I remember a car lot, I think Auto World, calling me and complaining because they got a bun with nothing on it.
Oh, God.
I know I didn't do it. I don't know who done it, but it was that crazy. But, you know, you live and you learn. I actually had to shut it down the 3rd weekend because it's funny, but I had a lot of problem with vendors.
Okay.
When I opened my, you know, you think when you open a business and you got your own money, you think vendors will run in here and want to grab your money.
Right.
Well, we had a couple. Well, I'll be honest with you. A friend of mine worked for Pepsi Cola. And he had a friend that done the fountain drinks. Well, we reached out to him first, and the guy told me, he said, I don't know, we'll start you out with bottles first because that place has been 5 different things. I said, man, I'm gonna spend my own money, and you're gonna tell me what you're gonna start me out with?
Yeah.
I was like, no thanks. So I went to Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola started me out. They was welcoming, and they started me out with the smallest thing, the smallest pumps that you could. Man, we was running out of those every week.
Oh my God.
Then the Pepsi guy, after he seen we was doing good,
he
wanted to come. He wanted to come back
in.
in. He want to come back in. Oh yeah, we can get you back in. Well, man, I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you, man, you'll have a lot of people to shoot you down. I kid you not. But I had a food vendor. I'm not going to mention their name, but I had a food vendor that I had my last $4,000 and I wrote a check for. They backed in the truck the day before I was opening, and they backed in and the truck driver. I remember like it's yesterday. He said, man, congratulations, man, this and that. He said, I'm going to tell you straight up, man. I've seen a lot of places come in here. He said, you're going to be busy for the first 6 months and it's going to die out. Then you're going to have to close and this and that. I said to myself, now this man's going to take all my money and he's going to shoot me down before I get started.
Yeah.
I said, man, let me tell you something. You put your groceries back on that truck.
Did you, Kurt?
And you take it back to Hickory. And I'll find me another food vendor. I was that upset. You know, you don't shoot a man down, especially when he spent all his money.
Yeah.
But the vendors come back up here and we got it worked out, and they apologized to me and he apologized to me and just was like, you know, I didn't mean nothing. I was just talking this and that. And I opened up and it was a very success story. It's been great. Be honest with you, running a restaurant out of doing event planning, caterings, weddings, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, especially now during the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, Kurt, how many, so you have 2 facilities now running, the one in Gamewell and the one out here on 18?
The one in Gamewell, yep. The one on Gamewell.
So do you have employees in both of those places at the same time?
The event space kind of runs itself. You know,
okay.
We keep it clean. We clean the place, you know, once a week. We only operate on Saturdays and some Sundays, so it's not like we keep the place clean. You want to rent, you pretty much come in, get a key, do your thing. If you need our services, we'll be there to offer catering or parties or whatever else. But if you don't, it's kind of turnkey ready.
Yeah.
But at the restaurant, you know, before the pandemic, we had about 9 employees. We're down to about 3 full-time employees, 4 counting my wife, and we just brought on two part-time employees that's going to be full-time if we decide to fully open them back up.
Right. Yeah. So you saying fully? You're not fully open back up now,
no.
Kurt? Well, what are your hours and what days do you?
Right now we are Tuesday through Friday. We're very limited because of staff.
So now you just there from Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday through Friday. No.
So you're not open on Saturday and Sunday?
We never was open on Saturdays because I do private events. We do weddings, catering and stuff, and that's in high demand. We're actually booked up for the rest of the year for weddings and events till 2022. And but Sundays I decided to close on Sundays probably about 4 or 5 months ago, because I wanted to go to church, man.
Yeah.
You know, you see these families come in on Sundays, and it's the best feeling in the world to serve up this home cooked meals.
Yeah.
And over the years, Sundays has been my favorite day. And you got some church folks that come in there and they raise hands, you know, on Sunday because they want to eat. You know, I always told my staff, I said, man, y'all forgive them. You know, it's they went to church today. They got a clean slate. You know, so they gotta raise a little Cain somebody. But boy, Sunday crowds don't play about their food. But I decided that so I could get back in the church, and we've been visiting different churches and stuff like that.
Well, wait a minute. So you say you just hit something there, and I had to pick up on. You said you've been visiting different churches. Now, where do you live, Kurt?
I live in Gamewood.
So you live in Gamewood. Now, in order to get from Gamewood to this end, you got to come somewhere through West End or Creekway Drive or somewhere like that.
I sure do.
And I'm wondering.
Let me tell you this.
You said you visited.
Let me tell you this. Me and my wife, we've been watching Terry Hunt's church on live.
Yeah.
And she's seen, I think y'all had a revival this week.
Yeah.
And Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday. She said, hey, we need to go to that. And I was like, you know what? I think so. I said we should go to that, but I didn't know it was this week. But I just pulled up and I seen that it was, your dates.
Yeah.
But honestly, you know, I'll be honest with you. You know, I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
I was here when I was young. You know, my grandmother Jonelle Sudden, she played the piano. She played the piano, and let me tell you something. It wasn't no parties you was going to every weekend. You was going to revival. You was going to gospel singings. You was in. Was it Beartown?
Yeah, Beartown.
Beartown, stuff like that. It was everywhere. You was a kid, you was going to church.
Yeah.
And you don't have that anymore.
No.
And I miss that. You know, 5 years of running a business, you know, you could be so dedicated in, you know, securing the bag or making sure that your finances are straight, that you can forget your real blessings.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you mentioned that, Kurt, and I'm so glad that you said that you made a sacrifice, and that sacrifice was to close down on Sunday and give God that opportunity, give God that day, the one that blessing you and keeping you. So I appreciate that. Kurt, I hate to do this, man, because I can see you getting on a good roll there. And you're excited about what you're doing, and I'm excited for you.
Yes, man, I appreciate it.
And however, whatever we can do to support Perks, that we will do. Now, I know that this Perkin blood runs way back a long ways, though, and it's not going to run out. So you Perkins, I'm Perkins. That don't mean that it's run out. That blood is still there. But I thank you so very much.
Man, thank you for
being here. And Kurt, you're going to continue to be successful. When you give God the glory and you give God the honor, that is your main power right there. That is your main source right there in everything that you're doing. So thank you for being here and adjusting your schedule, and just tell everybody to tune in. This will air, Kurt, on Thursday at 7 o'clock. You just tune in to Mount Pilgrim, Lenoir, NC on this coming Thursday. And I just wanted to shout out to those of you that have not registered to vote. As you can see, voting is this year in November. And early vote starts in October. So be sure and register.
Thank you for tuning into another exciting segment of Straight Talk, where we get straight to the questions and answers that you would like to ask some of the leading people in Caldwell County. We look forward to bringing you podcasts that make an impact in our communities. So tune in every Thursday at 7 o'clock, where we will bring you Straight Talk. We want to keep you informed on activities that are going on within our communities. Be blessed. We will see you next week.